Welcome to my channel, Lobby 22. Hold on because it's going to be something incredible. The email landed in my inbox at 11:47 p.m., a subject line that stopped my heart, clients out by Friday. Algorithm secured. It wasn't meant for me. The sender, my wife Laura, had made a mistake, a single misclick that unraveled her betrayal. I, Martin Klein, 48, CTO of BrightPath Solutions in New York, had spent 15 years building our flagship platform, DataSync. My distributed processing algorithm powered it, making us a leader in financial analytics, trusted by half the Fortune 500. But now, as I stared at the screen in my dimly lit home office, the truth hit like a freight train. Laura, BrightPath's VP of Marketing, was conspiring with Eric Blake, a slick product manager, to steal my work and push me out. The email was a thread between Laura and Eric, sent to me by accident instead of their intended recipient, likely someone in HR or the board. Eric's team will present the algorithm as their own at the investor meeting, Laura wrote. Once Martin's position is restructured, we'll finalize the patent under BrightPath's name. He won't suspect a thing. My hands trembled as I scrolled. Eric's reply was smug, perfect. I'll take lead on the presentation. Martin's too caught up in code to notice. My wife of 20 years, the woman I'd built a life with, was plotting to erase my legacy. And Eric, a colleague I'd mentored, was her accomplice, driven by ambition to claim my work as his own. I leaned back in my chair, the hum of my laptop the only sound in the quiet house. Laura was upstairs, probably asleep, oblivious to the bomb she'd just dropped. My first instinct was rage, storm into our bedroom, confront her, demand answers. But I'd learned long ago that emotion without strategy is a losing game. I needed to be smarter. If they thought they could outmaneuver me, they were about to learn how wrong they were. The next morning, I acted normal. Over breakfast, Laura chatted about her upcoming campaign launch, her smile as warm as ever. Big day at the office? She asked, stirring her coffee. I nodded, forcing a grin. Same old code grind. She had no idea I'd spent the night digging through old project files, confirming what I suspected. BrightPath's legal team had never filed a patent for my original algorithm. They'd called it an oversight when I'd asked months ago, promising to fix it. Now I knew why. They planned to claim it as company property, erasing my name. But they didn't know I'd been working on something new outside their reach. For months, I'd been refining my algorithm on my personal laptop late at night in my home office. The new version was faster, leaner, boosting efficiency by 50%. Crucially, it was developed on my own time, using my own equipment. My employment contract was clear. Anything created outside company resources was mine. I'd been meticulous, logging every line of code, timestamping every file. If BrightPath thought they owned my work, they were in for a surprise. I needed an ally. That afternoon, I slipped out of the office and met Caitlin Ross, CEO of NextGen Technologies, our biggest rival. We sat in a quiet Brooklyn cafe, far from BrightPath's glass tower in Manhattan. Caitlin was sharp, her eyes gleaming with interest as I laid out my situation. They're planning to steal your algorithm? She asked, leaning forward. And your wife's in on it? I nodded, swallowing the bitterness. I have a new version undocumented by BrightPath. I want to patent it and license it through NextGen. Caitlin didn't hesitate. We'll get you the best IP lawyer in the city. If you're in, Martin, I want you as our Chief Innovation Officer. She slid a napkin across the table, jotting down a number, a 7-figure signing bonus. I shook her hand. The game was on. Back at BrightPath, I played my part. Laura and Eric were ramping up their plan. I overheard Eric in the break room boasting to a junior developer about his upcoming presentation at the Investor Summit. Big things coming for DataSync, he said, flashing a grin. I kept my head down, documenting every project, every password, every process. My team, 5 brilliant engineers I'd recruited and mentored, sensed something was off. Miguel, my lead developer, pulled me aside. You okay, Martin? You've been quiet. I smiled. Just tying up loose ends. Stay tuned. By Thursday, I'd finalized the patent application with Caitlin's lawyer. Every line of code, every timestamp was airtight. The patent covered my improved algorithm, and NextGen had exclusive licensing rights. I drafted a text to my team, big news Monday. Be ready. I didn't trust BrightPath's servers, so I sent it from my personal phone. That night, Laura came home late, her eyes avoiding mine. Long day? I asked, keeping my tone light. Just planning the summit, she said, distracted. I nodded, knowing she was rehearsing the moment she'd betray me. Friday morning, Laura and Emily from HR called me into a conference room. The air was thick with corporate formality. Martin, Laura began, her voice practiced, BrightPath is restructuring. Your role as CTO is being phased out to align with our new product team focus. Emily slid a folder across the table, severance details. 2 weeks pay per year of service, 3 months of health coverage, career counseling I'd never use. I opened the folder, scanning it calmly. Laura's eyes flickered with relief, expecting tears or anger. I understand, I said, standing. Anything else? Emily hesitated. We'll need your keycard and company devices by end of day. I nodded, my face a mask. They thought they'd won. They had no idea what was coming. As I walked back to my office, I passed a glass-walled meeting room where Eric was prepping his summit slides. The title glared from the screen, DataSync, The Future of Analytics, led by Eric Blake. My algorithm, my life's work, branded with his name. I clenched my fists but kept walking. In my office, I packed my personal items, a family photo, a coffee mug from my team, a stack of conference badges from 15 years in tech. My phone buzzed with a text from Caitlin, patents filed. Contracts ready. Dinner tonight to finalize? I replied, done. I'm out today. The response was instant, perfect. Monday's going to be fun. I smiled, glancing at my calendar. Today was Friday. By Monday, BrightPath would learn the cost of underestimating me. I sat in my home office that Friday night, the glow of my personal laptop casting shadows on the walls. Laura was out, likely finalizing her plans with Eric for the investor summit. The sting of her betrayal still burned, but I channeled it into focus. My improved algorithm, 50% faster, leaner, and built entirely on my own time, was my trump card. BrightPath Solutions had no claim to it, and I was about to turn their scheme against them. The patent application was filed, my documentation airtight. Now, I needed to secure my future and protect my team. The clock was ticking, and Monday would change everything. Over the weekend, I met Caitlin Ross again, this time in a private room at a Manhattan steakhouse. The clink of glasses and murmur of diners faded behind a sliding door as we got to work. Caitlin slid a contract across the table, her expression all business. This makes you NextGen's Chief Innovation Officer, she said. 7-figure bonus, equity stake, and royalties on any product using your algorithm. I scanned the terms, my pulse quickening. The deal was better than I'd imagined, freedom, recognition, and a chance to stick it to BrightPath. There's more, Caitlin added, leaning in. We've got openings for your entire team. Senior roles, big raises. You name them, they're in. I nodded, thinking of Miguel and the others. They didn't deserve to be caught in Laura and Eric's fallout. They're loyal, I said, signing the contract. But I need to talk to them first. Caitlin agreed, her eyes sharp with anticipation. The patent's processing at record speed. Our lawyer's a shark. By Monday, it's official. Your move, Martin. I left the restaurant with a fire in my chest. Laura and Eric thought they were dismantling my career, but I was building a fortress. Back home, I crafted a group message to my team, Miguel, Anita, Raj, Sarah, and Tom. Big news coming Monday. Meet me Sunday night at my place. Trust me. I sent it from my personal phone, avoiding BrightPath's servers. Laura came home late, her perfume sharp as she brushed past me. Working on the summit pitch, she said, avoiding my eyes. Eric's got some great ideas. I bet he does, I thought, but only nodded. Sounds like a winner. She didn't notice the edge in my voice, too wrapped up in her victory. Sunday night, my team gathered in my living room, pizza boxes stacked on the coffee table. Miguel spoke first, his brow furrowed. What's going on, Martin? The office is buzzing about your exit. I took a deep breath, laying it out. Laura and Eric's plan to claim my algorithm, the restructuring to push me out, and my counter-move with NextGen. Anita's eyes widened. Your wife? She's in on this. I nodded, the admission bitter. But I've got us covered. NextGen wants all of you, better roles, better pay. I'm joining as Chief Innovation Officer, and my new algorithm's patented under my name. Raj whistled. You're playing chess while they're playing checkers. Sarah hesitated. What if BrightPath fights back? They've got deep pockets. I smiled. They've got no claim. My logs prove I built it off hours on my own gear. They're screwed. The team was in, their loyalty unshaken. Miguel clapped my shoulder. You're a guy, Martin. We're with you. We spent the night planning their transitions, drafting resignation letters to be submitted after NextGen's announcement. I felt a weight lift, not just for me, but for them. They'd poured their hearts into DataSync, and I wasn't leaving them behind. Monday morning loomed. I woke early, the house quiet as Laura slept. I dressed in a crisp navy suit, a power move for my last day at BrightPath. Before leaving, I double-checked my documentation. Code logs, timestamps, emails with Caitlin's lawyer. Everything was bulletproof. At the office, I kept my routine, coffee, code reviews. A quick chat with a junior dev who looked at me with pity. Word of my restructuring had spread, and the hallways hummed with whispers. I ignored them, focusing on my exit. I handed over my keycard and company laptop to Emily in HR, her smile strained. "You've been a great asset, Martin," she said, checking off a list. "Anything you're taking with you?" I shook my head. "Nothing that belongs to BrightPath. My personal algorithm was mine, and they'd learn that soon enough." As I packed my desk, Laura stopped by, leaning against the doorframe with fake casualness. "All set to go?" she asked, her tone too bright. I wrapped a conference badge in tissue paper, meeting her gaze. Crystal clear. Something in my comm made her pause, a flicker of doubt crossing her face. "You know, Martin, these decisions aren't personal. The company's just moving in a new direction." I nodded, my voice steady. "Business is business." She smiled, reassured, and left. She had no idea the storm was coming. At 6 p.m., I met Caitlin at NextGen's headquarters, a sleek tower in Midtown. She handed me a tablet with the press release, set to go live at 7 a.m. NextGen Technologies welcomes Dr. Martin Klein as Chief Innovation Officer, securing exclusive rights to his patented algorithm. It named me as the sole inventor, detailed my new role, and made it clear any company using my tech would need to license it through NextGen. "This'll hit BrightPath like a grenade," Caitlin said, grinning. I nodded, picturing Laura's face when she'd see it. "Good. Let's light the fuse." I sent a final text to my team. "It's happening. Check your personal emails for NextGen offers. We start fresh next week." Miguel replied instantly, "Game on, boss." I leaned back, the city lights glinting through the window. Tomorrow, BrightPath would wake to a nightmare, and I'd be standing on the other side, ready to claim what was mine. Monday morning broke over Manhattan, the city buzzing with its usual chaos. I, Martin Klein, stood in my Navy suit outside BrightPath Solutions glass tower, my last day as CTO. The weight of 15 years hung heavy, but I felt lighter than ever. My patented algorithm, secured with NextGen Technologies, was a ticking bomb set to detonate at 7 a.m. with their press release. Laura and Eric thought they'd won, stealing my work to fuel their ambition. They were about to learn how wrong they were. I walked into the office, my keycard's final swipe echoing like a door slamming shut. Colleagues glanced at me, their whispers trailing like smoke. "Poor Martin, restructured out." I overheard a junior dev murmur. I kept my face neutral, heading to my office to clear out the last of my things. My team, Miguel, Anita, Raj, Sarah, and Tom, had their NextGen offers in their personal inboxes, per my Sunday night plan. They'd resigned at dawn, their letters timed to hit HR after the press release. I trained them well. They knew how to play the game. At 7 a.m., my phone buzzed. Caitlin Ross's text. "It's live. Check the news." I opened my laptop, pulling up NextGen's site. The headline blazed, "NextGen Technologies welcomes Dr. Martin Klein as Chief Innovation Officer. Secures exclusive rights to revolutionary algorithm." It named me as the sole inventor, detailed my new role, and made it crystal clear. Any company using my tech would need NextGen's license. I leaned back, picturing the chaos unfolding floors above me in BrightPath's executive suite. By 8:15, the office was a hornet's nest. I caught snippets from passing colleagues. Stocks down 5% already. Boards freaking out. My team gathered in my office, their resignation letters submitted. Miguel grinned. "You see the X posts? Industry blogs are eating this up." I checked my phone. TechCrunch had a piece. BrightPath's patent blunder. Did they lose their star innovator? The article speculated on my exit, hinting at mismanagement. I smiled. They had no idea how deep this went. Laura burst into my office at 9 o'clock, her composure cracking. "Martin, we need to talk," she said, closing the door. Her eyes darted, searching for a reaction. I leaned back, calm as ever. "About what?" She hesitated, her voice tight. "This NextGen thing. It's a misunderstanding, right? You wouldn't..." I cut her off, my tone even. "Wouldn't what, Laura?" "Protect my work." Her face paled. She knew I knew. "We can fix this," she stammered. "The board's willing to negotiate." I stood, picking up my box of personal items. "My lawyers will be in touch." I walked out, leaving her frozen. In the hallway, Eric was pacing, phone pressed to his ear. "No, I didn't know he patented it," he hissed, oblivious to me passing by. His summit presentation was tomorrow, built on my algorithm, now untouchable without NextGen's approval. I caught his eye, giving a slight nod. His face flushed red, and he turned away. Checkmate. HR's exit interview was a formality. Emily, flustered, ran through her checklist. "You understand all intellectual property developed here stays with BrightPath?" she asked, avoiding my gaze. I smiled. "Anything developed on company time, sure. My new work's all personal." She didn't catch the emphasis, too busy ticking boxes. I handed over my devices, every file wiped clean except my meticulous project notes, proof I'd done my job well. "Good luck," I said, leaving her office. She'd need it. As I exited the building, my phone lit up with messages. "Miguel, board's in emergency session. Eric's suspended pending investigation. Anita, stock's down 8% now. They're screwed." I stepped into a waiting NextGen car, the driver nodding. "To Midtown, sir?" I confirmed, settling in. The city blurred past, a new chapter opening. At NextGen's headquarters, Caitlin met me in the lobby, her grin wide. "You got their attention," she said, handing me a coffee. "Social media's exploding. Industry folks are calling this a masterclass in IP strategy." I followed her to my new corner office, floor-to-ceiling windows framing the skyline. "What's next?" I asked. She smirked. "We let them sweat. Then we negotiate." By noon, BrightPath's stock had dropped 10%. My team's resignations hit like aftershocks, their expertise gutting BrightPath's R&D core. Posts from industry insiders speculated wildly, did BrightPath fumble their golden goose? A rival CEO DM'd me, "Brutal move, Klein. Drinks on me." I ignored it, focusing on a call with NextGen's legal team. "BrightPath is scrambling," the lawyer said. "They're pulling every file with your name, trying to find a loophole." "There isn't one." My documentation, timestamps, personal equipment logs was ironclad. They had nothing. Laura called again at 2 p.m., her voice shaking. "Martin, please? Let's talk this out." The board's furious and Eric's taking heat. I kept my tone cool. "Talk to NextGen's lawyers." "I'm busy." I hung up, picturing her in the boardroom, her plan crumbling. Eric's suspension was confirmed by 3 o'clock, per Miguel's update. The board was digging into his and Laura's emails, uncovering their plot to claim my work. I felt a pang, not for Laura, but for the life we'd had. It was gone, but I was free. As the day ended, Caitlin and I reviewed NextGen's strategy. "We hold the cards," she said. "BrightPath either licenses your algorithm or rebuilds DataSync from scratch. That'll take years." I nodded, my mind already on the future, new projects, my team, a chance to innovate without being sidelined. Tomorrow, I'd start at NextGen, my name tied to the tech I'd built. BrightPath's tower faded in my rear view as I drove home, the city alive with possibility. The sun dipped below Manhattan's skyline as I settled into my new office at NextGen Technologies, the city's pulse humming through the floor-to-ceiling windows. It was Tuesday, my second day as Chief Innovation Officer, and BrightPath Solutions was reeling from the bomb I dropped. Their stock had plummeted 12% since NextGen's press release hit at 7 a.m. Monday, announcing my patented algorithm and my new role. Laura and Eric's plan to steal my work had backfired spectacularly, and the industry was watching. My phone buzzed relentlessly, messages from my team, industry contacts, even a snarky, well-played from a rival CTO. But I wasn't celebrating yet. The game wasn't over. By 9 a.m., BrightPath's boardroom was a war zone, according to Miguel's updates. My former team, now NextGen hires, kept me in the loop. "Eric's out," Miguel texted. Board suspended him after finding his emails with Laura. They're digging into her too. I pictured Laura, her polished facade crumbling as the board grilled her. She'd called me 3 times since yesterday, each voicemail more desperate. "Martin, we can work this out," her last one pleaded. I didn't respond. She'd made her move, now it was mine. Caitlin Ross, NextGen's CEO, strode into my office, a tablet in hand. "You've got their attention," she said, tossing it onto my desk. A Bloomberg headline screamed, "BrightPath's patent misstep tanks stock, signals leadership crisis." The article called my departure a strategic blunder for BrightPath, noting their failure to secure my algorithm. "They're bleeding clients," Caitlin added. 2 Fortune 500 firms reached out this morning, asking about licensing your tech through us." I leaned back, the weight of my victory settling in. What's their next move? I asked. Caitlin grinned. They'll beg for a license or try to sue. Either way, we're ready. My team, Miguel, Anita, Raj, Sarah, and Tom, arrived at NextGen that morning, their excitement palpable. We gathered in a sleek conference room, whiteboards already scribbled with ideas for integrating my algorithm into NextGen's products. Anita, usually reserved, was buzzing. BrightPath's servers are a mess without us, she said. They pulled our old code for review, but they don't even know where to start. Raj laughed. They're calling it Eric's algorithm in panic meetings. Pathetic. I nodded, pride swelling. These were my people, and I'd secured their future. At noon, BrightPath's interim counsel, a lawyer named Diane, emailed NextGen's legal team, copying me. We believe there's been a misunderstanding regarding Dr. Klein's intellectual property, it read. BrightPath seeks to discuss ownership and potential collaboration. I forwarded it to Caitlin, adding a note, no misunderstanding. They're grasping. Our lawyer replied within an hour, outlining steep licensing terms, triple the industry standard rate, plus public acknowledgement of my sole inventorship. BrightPath had no leverage. My documentation, timestamps, personal laptop logs, was bulletproof. By 2 p.m., social media was a firestorm. Posts from tech insiders roasted BrightPath. How do you let your star CTO walk with the keys to your tech? A viral thread speculated on Laura's role, with one user digging up her summit agenda, listing Eric as the innovator behind DataSync. The irony wasn't lost on me. I glanced at my phone as another voicemail from Laura popped up. Martin, the board's threatening my position, she said, her voice cracking. Please call me. I deleted it. She'd built this trap herself. Miguel slipped into my office, his laptop open. You need to see this, he said, pulling up BrightPath's internal memo leaked to a tech blog. It admitted oversights in patent filings and promised a thorough review. Too late. Their investors were spooked, and the stock slid another 3% by 3 p.m., hitting a 15% total drop. They're calling an emergency shareholder meeting, Miguel said. Rumor is Laura's on thin ice. I nodded, keeping my expression neutral. Inside, I felt a mix of vindication and hollowness. Laura wasn't just my betrayer, she'd been my partner. But that was over. Caitlin called a strategy session at 4 p.m. BrightPath's legal team is scrambling, she said, pacing. They're hinting at a lawsuit claiming you developed the algorithm on company time. I shook my head. They've got nothing. My logs show every line of code written at home on my personal machine. Caitlin smirked. Good. Let them try. It'll cost them more in legal fees than licensing. We drafted a press follow-up emphasizing NextGen's commitment to innovation and my role as its architect. It would hit tomorrow, keeping the pressure on. As the day wound down, I met my team for drinks at a rooftop bar overlooking the city. The mood was electric: freedom, new beginnings, and a shared victory. Sarah raised her glass. To Martin, who turned their game against them. The others cheered, but I caught Miguel's eye. You okay, boss? He asked quietly. I sighed, swirling my drink. It's not about revenge. It's about being seen. He nodded, understanding. For years, BrightPath had treated me like a cog, not the engine. Now, the world knew my name. That night, alone in my apartment, I checked my phone. A text from an old colleague: Laura's out. Board voted her termination. Eric's facing an ethics probe. I stared at the message, the finality sinking in. BrightPath was imploding, their flagship product dead without my algorithm. They'd either pay NextGen's terms or spend years rebuilding. I set the phone down, the city lights flickering outside. Tomorrow, I'd pitch my vision to NextGen's board, my team by my side. The future was mine, and I was just getting started. 3 months later, I stood on a stage in San Francisco, the spotlight warm against my navy suit. The Tech Innovators Summit buzzed with industry leaders, journalists, and eager young engineers, all eyes on me. The screen behind me read, Dr. Martin Klein, Chief Innovation Officer, NextGen Technologies. My algorithm, now powering NextGen's flagship product, had reshaped data analytics, and the world knew my name. BrightPath Solutions, once my home, was a cautionary tale, their stock still 20% below its pre-crisis peak. Laura and Eric faced the consequences of their betrayal while I stood tall, my team thriving beside me. This was my moment, not just revenge, but recognition. The past months had been a whirlwind. BrightPath's board, desperate to save their sinking ship, signed a licensing deal with NextGen by midweek after my exit. The terms were brutal: triple the standard rate, plus a public statement naming me as the algorithm's sole creator. Their press release, issued a week after mine, was a masterclass in corporate humility. BrightPath acknowledges Dr. Martin Klein's groundbreaking work and is proud to partner with NextGen. I read it from my new office, a corner suite with a view of Manhattan's skyline. Caitlin Ross, NextGen CEO, had laughed over coffee. "They're eating crow, Martin. You made them." I nodded, a quiet satisfaction settling in. Justice, not vengeance, was my goal. Laura's fall was swift. The board terminated her after their investigation confirmed her role in the patent oversight. Emails between her and Eric, uncovered in the probe, painted a damning picture of their plan to claim my work. She'd left voicemails for weeks, each one a mix of apologies and excuses. "Martin, I didn't mean for it to go this far," her final message said, voice breaking. I didn't reply. Our marriage was over, papers filed the week after my exit. Eric fared worse. His ethics probe ended with a ban from Apex Innovations, his new employer, and whispers of a lawsuit. Their ambition had cost them everything. My team, Miguel, Anita, Raj, Sarah, and Tom, settled into NextGen like they'd always belonged. We launched our first product, DataPulse, built on my algorithm, to rave reviews. Industry blogs called it a game changer, and 2 more Fortune 500 clients signed on, ditching BrightPath. In our first team meeting, Miguel raised a coffee mug. To Martin, who didn't just save us, he built us a future. The room erupted in cheers, and I felt a warmth I hadn't known in years. These were my people, and we were unstoppable. Back at the summit, I stepped to the podium, the crowd hushing. "Innovation isn't just code or products," I began, my voice steady. "It's people, their ideas, their passion, their integrity. Companies that forget that pay a price." I shared my algorithm's technical breakthroughs, but wove in the broader lesson: value your innovators or lose them. I didn't name BrightPath, but the subtext was clear. The applause was thunderous, and as I left the stage, a young engineer, barely 25, approached me. "Your story changed how I work," she said, clutching a notebook. "I'm logging every project now, just like you." I smiled. "Your ideas are worth protecting." That evening, at the summit's reception, Caitlin handed me a glass of champagne. "You're trending on X," she said, showing me her phone. Posts praised my speech. Clients' talk is a wake-up call for tech. Respect your talent or crash. A rival CEO tweeted, "BrightPath's loss is NextGen's gain." Klein's a legend. I sipped my drink, the weight of recognition sinking in. For years, I'd been a cog at BrightPath, my work repackaged by others. Now, my name was synonymous with the tech I'd built. BrightPath's interim CEO, Richard Donovan, emailed me that night. His tone was respectful, a stark contrast to Laura's desperation. "Dr. Klein, congratulations on your success," he wrote. "We've implemented new IP policies to prevent past mistakes. I'd like to discuss further licensing terms and a potential advisory role." I forwarded it to Caitlin with a note, "They're learning." She replied, "Too late. You're ours now." NextGen's stock had climbed 15% since my arrival, while BrightPath has struggled to stabilize. Their lesson was costly, but clear. The next morning, I met my team for breakfast before flying back to New York. Anita shared a tech blog post, "How Martin Klein's exit exposed BrightPath's fatal flaw." It detailed their mismanagement, citing my story as a case study in protecting IP. Raj grinned. "You're a walking TED Talk, boss." I laughed, but the truth hit deep. I'd spent 15 years at BrightPath, undervalued, my ideas claimed by others. Now, at NextGen, I led with respect, my voice heard, my age and experience assets, not liabilities. As we boarded the plane, Miguel pulled me aside. "You ever think about Laura?" he asked. I paused, the question cutting through my triumph. "I think about who we were," I said. "But she chose her path." He nodded, clapping my shoulder. Back in New York, I walked into NextGen's office, my team already brainstorming our next project. DataPulse was just the start. My algorithm's next iteration was in the works, promising even greater efficiency. Caitlin greeted me with a grin. "Board's thrilled. They want you to keynote our annual meeting." I nodded, ready for what lay ahead. At 48, I'd found what eluded me for years, not just success, but respect. My name was tied to my work, etched in patents and headlines. BrightPath's collapse was a warning to the industry: undervalue your innovators and they'll build your ruin. As I looked out over Manhattan, my reflection sharp in the glass, I raised a silent toast to the future. I wasn't just seen, I was unstoppable.